Prince Charles at 70. That's coming up after 5 o'clock with the author of a bombshell new book on the future king. But right now it is time to count down the Friday Five with the journalist and author Amy Nickell and the comedian on the MASH Report, Steve N. Allen. Guys, gross story at number 5. So Amy, you can explain this one.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, I found this difficult to understand because I thought all train toilets did this anyway.
Do what?
So flushing the loo on a train and it going straight out onto the track.
Okay.
A fleet of trains in Scotland have been built like this, and people are a bit outraged at the prospect that railway workers could get splattered with human waste.
Well, exactly what usually happens, Steve. What happens at the moment?
I was in that same boat where I thought that's what happened and that explained the smell at stations. But if this is not what's happening, where is the smell coming from? We need to investigate our train stations.
I actually have quite a lovely story, though.
About a train toilet?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Have you ever questioned the tomato plant that grows just outside Liverpool Street Station?
No.
Well, apparently that grows because a patron of the trains had eaten a cheese and tomato sandwich that afternoon and flushed.
Oh, and that's
a
lovely
true story.
is it?
Google it. It's not an urban myth.
Isn't nature beautiful? But before we do, the reason that they changed the trains in 2017, so they didn't do that. So they were still dumping, which is the appropriate verb, the human waste there. And so they've only had 1 year of it not doing it.
At number 4, a possible ban on early morning drinking at airports. I'm torn on this one, Steve. Where do you stand on it?
Good. Ban it, especially for pilots.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I don't know why, for some reason, there's something about an airport where people turn up and think, oh, it's 9 o'clock.
I'll tell you
Time to start drinking.
Yes, because it is the only place, apart from Christmas Day and a christening, where it's socially acceptable to drink alcohol
and there is
before
sort
9
of
a.m.
that thing of you're going on holiday. The other argument, Steve, is airports are meant to almost operate in no time zone because you've got no idea where people are going. So you might be getting ready, for example, if you're going to New Zealand, which I often do, all of a sudden, 8 p.m, it's 8 a.m. Do you see what I mean? So you need to adjust your time zone before you get on the track or before you get on the plane.
You want to make sure you can land drunk. I don't know why it has to be alcohol that's the difference.
Get drunk.
And here's the thing.
Or for people who are afraid of flying.
Well, then actually, first, I'm not very sympathetic to that. If you're afraid of flying, just don't fly. I can't stand if I'm sat next to a nervous flyer, on the way back from things, if I fly away to do gigs and stuff, I'm normally grumpy on the way back. And we've been sat there going like, does that engine sound all right? Just to make it worse for them. But you had your chance.
That's so cruel.
If you could drink and not cause problems on the trains, we wouldn't be having this story.
Can I tell you why you need to land drunk?
Yeah.
Because you fly Ryanair, and the one redeeming feature of an airport and an airline like that is the bar. So we need to keep the bars open.
Good point.
You've got no clothes for the holiday. You're going to need something to keep you warm.
At number 3, a scientist will be going on the £50 note. But who should it be, Amy?
Oh, don't say who should it be. I work part-time as a science children's entertainer, so I say Astro Amy for the £50 note.
Don't get yourself on there.
I reckon Stephen Hawking. Come on, it's got to be.
No, everybody's saying, oh, it could be a woman. I'm like, well, it could be Dolly the sheep. Let's go one further.
I think you're right. If it's not Stephen Hawking, there's not a chance of it being a bloke. But I did a bit of research on this, and Joseph Priestley's never been on it. I was a chemist. Before I did the stand-up, I did chemistry. And this is the guy who discovered oxygen. I mean, everyone uses it, and he's not had a note yet. He also accidentally discovered soda water. So you alcoholics in airports. Joseph Priestley.
Never heard of him.
Exactly.
At number 2, the Waitrose magazine boss has been forced to resign after saying he should kill vegans one by one. Now, look, I know this will divide opinions. Steve, for me, I thought this was a ridiculous overreaction. This was an email that was clearly a joke that he sent to a freelancer who I presume had a sense of humour. She has a massive sense of humour failure. And also, I actually quite like the people saying, look, we already are so concerned about discriminating against loads of different groups in society over sexuality, race, gender. Let's not turn vegans into a type of people, because they're not. They just choose not to eat certain things.
Yes, and also they can't be an oppressed minority. In many ways lessens what actual prejudice is. If you think about the suffering that people have because of racism, what it causes in the world, versus I'm being
because
picked
the whole
on because
point
of not
discrimination is about when you can't can't make a choice.
I think you
And
two-
vegans can make a choice, Amy.
You two are completely missing the point. This is not about his hatred of vegans or oppression or anything or freedom of speech. That's not the issue. He has been suggested to step down because he's horrible at his job. You don't professionally, in a professional circumstance, email somebody an email like that. And also, you don't...
But he didn't want her article, so he was just
Okay,
having
hang
some
on a
fun
minute.
with
It was a
her.
private email, not a front page. That would be different.
Waitrose has pushed vegan food. In summer, vegan barbecues.
Yeah.
Christmas, vegan this.
That's
he
the problem.
is completely unaware of the brand he is representing.
Well, no, he was making a joke, but I do think that is why Waitrose got rid of him, absolutely, because
Yeah.
they were so worried
And
about a
that's the point.
backlash from vegans,
Yeah.
because commercially, you are correct. Apparently, my somebody who works for me is a vegan, and she said Waitrose has the best vegan selection.
He shouldn't be editing
Yeah.
a food magazine if he's completely unaware of food trends and where they're going. That's why he's no longer doing the job.
Don't anger them. They're after blood, which is ironic.
And the number one story of the week in the Friday Five, a Trump candidate uses a photo of an awful Essex village for a campaign. Steve, where was the village and what was going on here?
So it's Jaywick Sands. It's near Clacton, so heading towards the sea, the Thames. As you get down that kind of area, it is on sea. And there's a picture that was used to represent how bad things can look. Now, the picture was from quite a few years ago now, so apparently there's been improvement in the Jaywick area since this picture. What I kind of like about this story is that if it weren't for the backlash, if it weren't for the people saying, how very dare you besmirch the fine area of Jaywick, this advert doesn't mention Jaywick. No one would have known. By raising it as an issue, it's made more people go, oh, is that what Jaywick looks like?
But I think that the reason that they came to find that picture is because if you Google worst British town, it comes up with Jaywick,
Yeah.
because we had a documentary not so long ago, I think it was Channel 5, where we said this is the worst place in Britain. So we were quite happy to say this is the worst place in Britain, but I think the reason people are annoyed is because it's an American taking our...
Well, because
we
basically
can comment.
it says only you can stop this from becoming a reality. Help President Trump keep America on track and thriving. And it uses this picture. I have to say, though, it doesn't
look great.
It doesn't look
But
great.
it's 6 years old, and Jaywick, all publicity is good publicity. I've never heard so many people talk about Jaywick so fondly before. So
Well,
this has worked greatly in their favour.
You're not going to win Jaywick in bloom with that picture, though, are you?
Absolutely not. But they are in the Friday Five, and they've won the Friday Five, so that's the best possible publicity that you could get, I think. Steve Allen, of course, on the MASH report at 10:30 tonight.
No, 10 o'clock.
10
Don't
o'clock
tune in at 10:30.
before
We've missed
Newsnight.
Yes.
Before Newsnight.
Try and spot the difference between us
On
and
BBC
Newsnight.
Two. Well, these days there's actually not much difference, if I'm totally honest. And Amy Nickell, the journalist and author, absolute pleasure to have you here. In the next hour, we have some